solver with loans. Okay, several of the things are different with this. So first thing, show me that you know how to get into your app. So remember, it's apps right here. And then enter. Okay, that's how you open up your solver. Now, okay, I want you apps, the purple button, and then enter. Okay, so what we learned yesterday is what each of the little things stand for. So I'm just going to run through them in case you weren't here. N is the number of months, okay, which is going to be 12 times the number of years. I is going to be your interest rate. Okay, but remember that it needs to be a percent. Thank you. Okay, PV is going to be the start value. FV is the end value. Okay, remember yesterday we talked about it's PV for previous and then FV for future. Okay, but you can just think beginning and end. And then PMT are your payments, which are monthly. Okay, then PY and CY should both be 12. That should already be set in your calculator like that. Okay, so yesterday we talked about savings. Think about the way that a savings account works. You take your money, you give it to the bank. Yes, and it accumulates. So whenever you're giving money to the bank, it counts as a negative in the solver. The reason why is because you're giving them your money, you don't have it anymore. Now, is it still yours? Yes, but you're giving it to them. Okay? So for all of your savings accounts, it's going to be a negative value. However, when you are taking out a loan, they are giving you their money so that you can go spend it on whatever you want. So if it's a loan and they're giving you money, it's going to count as a positive in the solver. So for all loans, your PV is going to be positive. Okay? So they're going to give you money, you're going to type it into the PV, but you're going to keep it positive, unlike yesterday. Okay, then there are also several other terms that we have to talk about. They're all kind of like financial stuff that you should know, but maybe you don't. So the first one is that banks are business, so they don't just let you borrow the money for free. They're getting rich off of you. So what they earn off of you is called a finance charge. Now, there are a bunch of ways that they can give you finance charges, but the main way that they do that is through interest. So if you want to fill in here, they're a business. Okay, they're for profit. Bankers make tons of money by letting you borrow money. They do it through interest rates is one of the big ways, but they have other kinds too. Now, we're only looking at interest rates in this unit, but you should know that there are other ways through account fees and that kind of stuff. Okay? Hidden fees, yes. Transfer fees. If you go below a minimum amount, they can charge you a fee. Yeah. But we're going to just only pretend like interest. That's the only one that we're going to look at. Now, for a savings account, is interest good or bad? Good. For a loan, interest good or bad? Bad. Because the amount you grow keeps going up as you don't pay it, right? Okay, so when you make a big purchase, oftentimes you're going to make what's called a down payment. Do we know what that is?
Yes.
Okay, what's a down payment?
The amount of money you need to start at the beginning.
Good. So it's the amount that you pay at the beginning. So you do not have to pay interest on a down payment because you pay that right off the bat before you borrow any money. So if I want to buy a house and I'm putting down $10,000 or something on it, I don't pay interest on that because I already have it and I'm paying it up front. But everything that is left over, you're going to have to borrow from the bank in terms of a loan. Yes, ma'am?
But even if you put a down payment, aren't you still going to have to borrow money?
Yes, but you'll only pay interest on the part you're borrowing. So that part that you pay up front, that can't accrue interest. They can't charge you for that. But whatever's left over, they will. And we'll look at numbers and stuff in a second. Okay, now if you have good credit, meaning that you pay your bills on time, you pay your credit card on time, blah blah blah, you're going to get a really low interest rate because they want you to borrow from them because they know that you're going to pay them back. If you have sucky credit, okay, you are going to get a high interest rate. Okay, that's because they're not really sure that they want to loan you money because they're not sure that they can trust you. So your credit score, okay, is a measurement of whether you're trustworthy or not, how much they want to charge you. If they want you as a customer, they're going to keep it low. But if they don't trust you as a customer, they're going to give you a really high number. Okay? The other word that you need to know is a mortgage. Do we know what that is?
Yeah.
What's the difference between mortgage and rent?
Rent is like it's someone else paying the mortgage, and then you're not fully owning the house. Mortgage.
Yes. Rent means that you live on someone else's property and you pay them each month. Mortgage means that you're paying off because you own it.
So like if you're the landlord, you pay rent.
Yes. But if you own it, you have a mortgage. Good?
And if you have a mortgage, do you have to pay more?
Okay, so it depends because you have to think about with a mortgage, you're maybe paying more, but you're actually like owning something. Versus when you're renting, you're literally giving that money away every month and you don't have anything to show for it except that you still live there. So there are advantages to both. Okay, some disadvantages to mortgage is that if you want to just move, it's a whole hassle. You have to sell the house, do everything else. So there's advantages to both, but there are also disadvantages to both. Okay? Huh? Yes. But if you're like, you don't have a bunch of kids and you don't want to have to do, or if you travel a lot, there are some situations where you might prefer to rent, but yes, and renting, you don't have to pay interest because you don't own it, right? You're just paying the same amount every single month. Okay, so turn the page. Let's look at how this.
Do you rent a house?
So I own a house, but I live in a different house. Stupid, right? So well, no. So my parents thought I lived in the hood. So they had me move into one of their rentals and they rent my house. So anyway, I do own a house. I pay a mortgage and I don't pay my parents because they rent my house and earn money off of it. So
Wait, okay, where did you live?
it wasn't that. I lived like off of like Plano Road and Walnut Hill. So it wasn't like the real hood, but my parents just would like watch the crime reports and stuff. And so anyway.
They whiter than you?
Yeah, bad. But I also like got a stalker for a while in my neighborhood, so they just really wanted me to move. But anyway, okay, ready?
Wow.
Okay, so look. Okay, you're gonna buy your first home for $120,000. Okay, that is not a super expensive home. That's very like middle to low market.
Wait, so what's cheap and what's really high?
I mean, it depends how big it is and where it is. But like most houses, like in like this area, would be like between like 150 and 175. That's like kind of this area. Well, yeah, depending on how close you are to main streets, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so 120,000.
I'm sorry.
It's
but
okay.
If you're by a main street, it's more money?
A lot of times it depends how the traffic, if it's like really loud and stuff.
Like if it's like a up and going.
Like this one right here.
Like Plano, that wouldn't hurt your value. It wouldn't probably make it much better worse. Now if you're like right off the highway, that's bad. Because they'd be like, oh, it's too noisy. There's so much traffic. So you want to be kind of like close enough that you're not.
No, it is expensive because it's like a place like a company or something buys it. A lot of people see it. Like if you buy
Okay, yeah. So then also that brings up you have residential versus corporate, right? If you're wanting your house, you don't want to be right in the middle of 8,000 people driving by you every day. Versus if you have a restaurant, you want people to drive by and see it. So that's another good thing to think about. But a mortgage would specifically be like you're gonna live there. Yeah. Okay, so 120,000. You're gonna make a down payment of 20%. How do you find how much that is?
120 times 20.
Yep. Okay, 120,000 times 0.20. Now, why am I changing it to 0.20? Because it has to be a decimal. Okay, because it's a percent. That's right. So multiply that out in your calculator. 120,000 times 0.20. My down payment is going to be 24,000. Now, remember that if I'm paying 24,000 right off the bat, I don't have to borrow the whole thing. How do I know how much I have to borrow? Subtract. So I'm going to take how much I want for the house minus what I already paid, and what's left over is what I'm going to borrow. So 120,000 minus 24,000. How much will be left over for me to have to borrow from the bank? Good. Put it here as your PV.
What does PV stand for?
It's the beginning value, or the previous value. Okay, and then hold on one more second. Think about this too. Okay, that's your PV. The bank is giving you 96,000, so that's why it's positive. They're giving you the money to go buy the house, but you're going to pay them back. Okay, so then it says you're going to be financed for 30 years, so 12 times 30. Okay, then it says that your interest rate is 5%. And then it says, how much will your monthly payments be? That's your question mark. Now, for a future value, think about, you want to pay this off. What amount do you want to owe the bank in the future? 0. So your FV will be 0. So you're starting off with $96,000 of their money, but at the end, you want to have 0 of their money because you want to have paid it all back. Okay, and then you're going to solve here. So let's type that into your solver. Remember, apps, enter. Okay, we're going to do 12 times 30 as your N, 5 as your percent, 96,000 as your PV because they're giving you that much. My future value is 0. And then for my payment, I have to alpha enter. Remember, that's how you solve. So I'm going to push alpha right here, and then enter down here, and it'll just solve it for you. So my monthly payments would be how much? $515. Now, why is it negative? Because you're giving them their money back, right? So it'd be $515.35. Can you say what you just said again? Sorry.
Is our test going to be just problems like this, the whole test, or just...
It'll have other stuff too, but this is the main thing. Okay, now, after you find your monthly payments, you're going to find what's called your payback. So, your payback value is your monthly payments multiplied by how many months and how many years you had the loan. So think about, if I'm paying back, if you can't read that, that's PMT times 12 times years. So how much am I paying the bank each month, we said? $515.35, right? So second quit, $515.35 times 12 months in a year times 30 years. Yes, $515.35 times 12 times 30. Okay, I'm going to pay the bank back $185,526. That's your payback. Okay, so write that number down. $185,526. Now, that's your payback that you're paying them over the whole time that you have the loan. How much did you borrow? You'd only borrowed how much? 96. So the finance charge is the difference between those two. Because you're figuring out how much did they charge you on top of what you actually borrowed. So I'm going to put right here, your finance charge is your payback minus your PV. Okay, so all that you're doing is seeing how much did you pay them, how much did you borrow, and then subtracting. So if you pay off early, then you'd bring your finance charge down a lot. And we're actually going to look at that on Friday.
So how do you get your payback is $185,000?
So look, watch. I'm going to do it in here.
$96,000.
So I'll do $185,526 minus, I only borrowed 96. That means that they overcharged me Okay, $89,526. Now, keep in mind, it's not really an overcharge because you're agreeing to it when you're agreeing to an interest rate, right? But that's the profit that they would make off of you. Does that make sense? Okay, and that's why the banks get rich and everybody else struggles. Okay, so $89,526. Okay, so this is the extra money that the bank makes off of you for you to buy the house. Just the extra. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're going to do one more like that has 1,000 steps, and then we'll look at an easier one. Okay, so jump to the last page, and we're going to do the other house one, number 5. Now, keep in mind that most of these are not, the houses are the ones that are more complicated. Most of the other ones aren't so bad. Okay, so look at number 5. Charles wants to buy a house for $180,000. He's going to pay 15% down payment. So the first thing that you do is take $180,000 and you multiply it by what? By 0.15. Very good. You have to turn it into a decimal so that you know how much he's going to pay right off the bat that he doesn't have to borrow from the bank. So I'm going to do $180,000 times 0.15. And I'm missing a 0. Okay, yep, so $27,000. Now, he's paying that off right away. How will I know how much he's borrowing? What do I do with that number? Subtract it off the price of the house. Very good. So he's going to pay $27,000 up front. So I'm going to subtract that from here. How much is he actually going to borrow? $180,000 minus $27,000. $153,000. Very good. So this is what his loan amount is going to be. He's going to be like, okay, I already have 27. I just need you to give me the rest. So that's going to go right here. Good so far?
So it's 180,000 minus 27.
Uh-huh. Yep. And that goes where in the chart? The PV. Positive or negative? Positive, because who's getting the money? Me. The bank is giving it to me so that I can buy my house. Okay, then it says 30 years, so 12 times 30. 8% interest, put your 8 right there. And then in the future, how much do I want to owe the bank? 0. And then I'm solving here. Okay? So, App Center, enter, we're typing it in. So we have 12 times 30, 8% interest. Starting value of my loan is $153,000, and then I'm going to solve on my payments. So, alpha solve. So I'd pay $1,122 a month and 65 cents. Okay, so what will my mortgage be? That number that I just got. Now, before I can find my finance charge, what do I need to find first? Do you remember what it's called?
Payback.
Your payback. First, you need the payback. Okay, and remember, how do you find your payback? You take your payment, you multiply it by 12, and then by however many years. So, I'm going to second quit to get out of this. 122.65 times 12 months times 30 years. So I'm figuring out this is how much I pay each month.
404.
Okay, good. So I'm going to pay back $404,000, but how much did I borrow?
153.
Only $153. Okay, Haiti. So all that extra is a finance charge that they're charging you for you to borrow their money. Okay? So my payback is $404,154. And then remember, in order for me to find the finance charge, I have to subtract what I borrowed.
251.
Perfect. Okay, are you guys super confused or are you fine? Good? Easy?
No, I'm lost.
Okay, which part?
After when she starts.
Okay, so you're good on SIVA.
No.
Well, we use the calculator to find
Yeah,
that.
I know, but what did you times that?
So for the payback, I did. For the payback, I did 1,122,6,5 times 12 times 30, and that's where I got the 404 right here. So I did this to get this, and then I minus what I borrowed to get the last number
And then subtract that
by 153,000. Okay?
Where'd you get that 100? Oh, okay, by
Because that's what we borrowed. Okay, make sense?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so we're gonna do an easier example. Okay, so flip back and we're gonna do bind the beetle. Okay, look at number 2. We got 2 examples left. Okay, UB, Haiti, can you just, okay. Okay, you can talk, as soon as we're done, you guys can dodo around all you want. Okay, so Susan wants to buy a Volkswagen Beetle for $20,435. She is not going to make a down payment. Then how much is she borrowing? Okay, she's going to borrow the whole thing. So $24,35. Okay, no down payments means that she's not taking any of that price down before she borrows.
So that's positive.
Positive, because the bank's giving it to her to buy her car. Okay, UB. Come on, dude. Seriously. Alyssa, you too. Okay. So, then it says she's not going to make a down payment. 6.2% interest goes here. And then it'd be 12 times 5 years for your N.
So it's easier if you just do it down?
Yeah, the math is harder, but it saves you money to pay it down payment.
So if you do a down payment, it's easier? It's, oh,
You save money. Yes.
okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if you don't have a down payment, it makes filling out your chart a little bit easier. Okay, but the payback and the finance charge you still have to be able to find. So in your calculator, apps enter. She has 12 times 5 years. Okay, 6.2% interest. Okay, 2435 for your PV. Future value is 0, and then you're solving. Okay, Darrell, I know you got it, but I'm trying to get through it. Okay. So, when you push alpha enter, it's going to solve it for you. So, $396.97, that would be your monthly payment.
How do you put the solve?
Alpha enter.
So why are we not writing negative?
Because you're paying it. That's why it's coming out negative. It's because you're giving it to them. You can put a negative on it if you want to, but you don't have to. Okay, now, how do you find the payback? What do you do with that monthly payment?
So this time, what you got is times 30.
Yes. So I'll do, well, not times 30, it's only 5 years. So times 12 times 5. So you're going to take how much you're paying each month, times 12 months in a year, times 5 years. That's how much you're going to pay them back in the time that you have that loan. So $396.97 times 12 times 5. So she's paying back $23,818.20. Now, keep in mind, she didn't borrow that much. She only borrowed $20,000. So for me to know the finance charge, I need to subtract those two. So you're going to take this one and this one, subtract, and that's how you're going to know the finance charge. It'll be a little less than that, but it'll come out to about that. So for your finance charge, you're going to do $23,818 minus what she borrowed, $24,35. Cool. So minus $24,35, she's going to have $3,383.20. Now, if you want to, you can think about that's basically like a penalty, okay, that she has to pay the bank since she didn't have the money herself. Okay, makes sense? Okay, there's one more that we have to do. Flip over to the other side.
So if you do it that way, what's wrong with that way? Like, not borrowing money, but
So the alternative to that would be you just wait till you've saved up that much money. You wouldn't have to pay any extra. You'd be buying the car at exactly the amount that it's being sold for. But you have to wait a lot longer to be able to buy it because you'd have to save up $20,000.
And then if you put a down payment, you just pay every month.
Well, you pay off a certain amount and then you just have to pay interest on what's left over. So you're only having like a penalty on part of the price, not the whole price.
Miss Jordan, what was your first car?
Let's, one more. And then you can ask that.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm just asking.
So, Peggy's employer was loaned $5,000 to pay off her tuition and textbooks. Okay, so that's going right here. Okay, nothing about a down payment. She's borrowing $5,000. Okay, then 3.5% interest. And it says that she knows that she's going to pay it back at $150 a month. Okay, so her PMT is going to be negative $150 because that's how much she's paying each month. What is her future value if she wants to pay it off? 0. These guys are both 12. Then for this one, we did one like this yesterday, but your N is your question mark. Okay, and there's one extra step you have to do when you're finding N. Because it says how long will it take, and N is your number of months. So it basically told you everything else. Okay, so App Center enter, pulling it up. You have to leave something in your N, so I'm going to put a 0 for now. 3.5, 5,000 borrowed. Negative 150 is what you're paying off each month. Future value is 0. Okay, good. Now, the extra step that I mentioned is that's not 35 years, that's 35 what? What does N measure? The number of what? Months, right? That's why we times by 12. So what do I need to do with this number to get rid of the 12? I have to divide. So my N, look, you have 2 spots on your paper. My N is 35.1, but that's in months. So I have to divide that by 12 to turn it into years. Okay, and what is 35 divided by 12? We'll just round it to 2.9. So that's almost 3 years, but when you find N, because that number is multiplied by 12, you have to remember to go back and divide by 12. Okay? Okay, so if you understand everything we did today and yesterday, tomorrow will be very easy. We're reviewing, and we'll do like a worksheet with both of them mixed in. Okay? No, you don't have a test on Friday. We're just going to have like a review worksheet. Y'all just took a test and a CBA. Okay? So you have about